You're right, babysitting is dangerous. Others might call it an adventure. Aha! Ha ha! Do you get it? Do you get it? Please say you get it. Anyway, I'm John Renton with the retro review of Adventures in Babysitting. On July 3rd, 1987, this movie screamed into theaters. I don't really know how a movie can scream into theaters, but I'm just going to roll with it. And in the 35 plus years since, it's become a bit of a cult classic. It comes to us from Chris Columbus. No, not the explorer, but the director. He did Home Alone 1 and 2, Mrs. Doubtfire, Harry Potter 1 and 2, Rent, Percy Jackson 1, and Pixels. So that last one wasn't exactly a great indicator of Chris Columbus's talents, but nevertheless also comes to us from writer David Sinkins, who really only did TV. In fact, if you take a look at the TV shows he did, not a lot of people are going to remember those shows. Nevertheless, he has this on his resume. Hooray! This has Elizabeth Shue in it. Christ, Elizabeth Shue at this point and into the early 2000s, and even now, she looks fucking incredible. Leaving Las Vegas, Hollow Man, roles on CSI, and she's had quite the career. And it also has a young Vincent D'Onofrio in it. From Men in Black, there, is that better? And also Law and Order Criminal Intent. And The Cell. Boy, The Cell was quite the movie. What a character actor he is. He was also in Rings. Yes, he was in one of the Rings, one of the sequels to The Ring, called Rings. Be a bit weird if it was a sequel to anything else other than The Ring. Nevertheless, this also has a guy named Calvin Levels. It just sounds like he should be either a construction worker or a construction wrestling gimmick. Nevertheless, they also have Penelope Ann Miller in it, who, if you look at her now, my God, she's also ageless. So, if you have not seen this movie, it's a retro review. I'm going to spoil it. But Elizabeth Shue's character, Chris, is a babysitter. If you could not figure that out, that this had something to do with babysitting, I really don't know what to tell you. She has her boyfriend cancel on her, or her boyfriend rather does cancel on her. It's like, okay, now she's depressed, now she's upset. But before that, she's getting ready and singing And Then He Kissed Me by the Crystals. That song is now forever in your head. You may not recognize it by the title. Listen to it. I guarantee that you have heard the song at some point. And it's great because she was just singing around being Elizabeth Shue and just being bubbly and everything at this point. It was fun. And then after her boyfriend cancels, she's talking to Brenda, Penelope Ann Miller's character, and wants to just stay home and be depressed. But she takes on a job babysitting for, well, Sarah and Brad, because Sarah's a young girl that loves Thor, God of Thunder, give me strength, and Brad, a boy that's a little bit older but happens to really like Chris. You can't fucking blame him. Brad also has a friend named Daryl that has a Playboy that he stole from his dad's collection, and in the centerfold looks a lot like Elizabeth Shue. Kinda, except Elizabeth Shue is a lot hotter, in my opinion. But from there, it turns out that Brenda was so upset at her home life, she runs away. And she's at the bus station with no money. She didn't think this through, so now she begs Chris to come get her. So Chris says, okay, let's do that. Let's pile everybody in here, and let's go on an adventure. Let's go get my friend and come back, and it'll be quick. While Sarah and Brad's parents are away at a fancy party. In whatever town this is, USA. It's actually Toronto, Canada. The skyline should have been a strong indication. Nevertheless, they end up running into some trouble when, after telling some stories and regaling some stuff, like talking about a guy with a hook for a hand scraping people's faces off and everything and going to scrape the babysitter's face off, they get a flat. This nice guy, John Pruitt, decides to be a cool tow truck driver and help take them to the garage, not leave them stranded on the highway because they will be there all night long and they can't, or otherwise the parents will find them and they will not be strong. Okay, that wasn't a great reference, but he decides to take them there to Dawson's garage. And then the adventure really kicks in because she forgot her purse, because that's what you do when you take children out. You forget your money, especially in 87 when we didn't exactly have a lot of credit card stuff. I mean, you did, but checkbooks and cash were the main ways to pay for stuff. And basically, this guy takes the car there, and, well, then he gets a call that, well, it turns out that some bad shit is going on. Like, his wife is cheating on him with somebody. So he goes to his house and starts to punch out the guy that's doing that. That's sleeping with his wife. He's arguing with his wife. And then they get in the guy's car, and they're going to take off. They get in the cheater's car. Well, it turns out this car is being lifted already by a guy named Joe, played by Calvin Levels. Again, the construction gimmick. And he is taking off with it. And Chris is totally unaware of this stuff and is like, well, can you just drop us off? Like, Chris, he's a car thief. In fact, the kids can tell this and Chris can't is kind of funny. Daryl, mind you, is just a full-on horny dick teenager while Brad's trying to be the respectful one. And Sarah, wearing her Thor helmet and everything, just wants to have fun and also see Thor because she's obsessed with superheroes. And if she drew any of that stuff, that's pretty impressive for that actress. So there's a chop shop, and this guy Joe helps get cars for it. And then there's other people like Graydon, played by Ron Canella, who he's a character actor as well. Then they have a human corpse that looks like if he was around in Italy in the 17th century, and he's like the boss and everything. We'll take care of them later. Yes, let the hate flow through you. So yeah, they end up in this chop shop. And that magazine, that Playboy magazine, by the way, before this happened, got tossed out the window. Well, Daryl decides the smart thing would be, let me grab this Playboy off of this deal, or off of this desk. It turns out this Playboy has particular plans written on the centerfold spread for certain shipments they're going to get in Philadelphia and whatever, and operations and stuff like that. They have plans written down on a Playboy. The thing about this movie is it doesn't take itself so fucking seriously. It is just dripping with atmosphere and comedy, and while it shouldn't work, it does work. Is everything perfect? No. The movie's 35 years old, and there are certain jokes that don't exactly land or have not aged well at all. In fact, earlier Brad was telling Sarah, Thor's a... I'm going to say the word here, but this is not indicative of me. He says, Thor's a homo. Thor's a homo. Yeah. Not exactly stuff that's aged all that well, but nevertheless... They escape through the rafters. This guy Joe kind of takes sympathy on him because he realizes they just got caught in this whole deal. They sneak across the rafters, and even we cut to the parents and say, Sarah's probably hanging from the rafters right now. Ha 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 ha. And then they escape. They end up in a blues bar where they have to sing the Babysitter Blues. Nobody gets off this stage without singing the blues first. Where did the blues bar come from, by the way? Did they go to New Orleans all of a sudden? But anyway, I know that blues exists in places other than New Orleans and Louisiana, but you got blues and jazz, and New Orleans has great goddamn clubs, so I've heard. I need to go at some point. So, Elizabeth Shue actually does a really good job singing and being sultry, and goddamn, Elizabeth Shue looked great in this fucking hell. I was only 6 at the time. I remember watching this movie, actually, when I was probably not the age I should have watched it, because it says PG-13, and you would think that I shouldn't have been allowed to watch this, but nevertheless... God, it's hard not to love Elizabeth Shue in this. And then it turns out the Playboy has the plans. I just can't get over that. They wrote their plans in the Playboy. They are fighting over shampoo. Non-wrestling fans have no idea what that means. So they basically they're basically trying to get through the city and everything. At one point Daryl's hitting on a streetwalker. Or a lady of the evening. Not a hooker. Well, I mean, certain wrestlers were hookers, but this is a different kind. But he's talking to a hooker that's also 17 because she ran away from home. Brad's also trying to convince Chris, hey, this guy Mark, hi Mark, is not good for her. Not that she should date him necessarily because of the age difference, but give other guys a chance and don't let this guy treat you like shit. Because this guy blew off the date because he had a sick sister. I wonder if you can guess where this is going. They end up on this train, and then these two gangs, straight out of the Warriors Come Out to Play, are about to have a fight. And this guy calls Chris a bitch, so Brad gets in his face, gets a knife drop through his shoe, even though it's supposed to have hit his toe. Don't fuck with the Hounds of Hell. Don't fuck with the Babysitter. Or the Lords of Hell, rather. Hounds of Hell actually probably would have worked better, in all honesty. Don't fuck with the Babysitter. God, please, just berate me like that. Anyway, I have issues. So they go to the hospital. The doctor gives him one stitch. And then there's another guy with stab wounds that dies. And they say, hey, we need to talk about our friend, the one with the stab wounds. Oh, I'm sorry, he's dead. And then Chris faints. And then it turns out that, Brad's actually perfectly alive. And while that's going on, Brenda is having difficulty figuring out what's going on because she gets her glasses stolen at this bus stop. She ends up holding what she thinks is a kitten. It's actually a jumbo-sized sewer rat. I used to have a rat like that, actually. It was a mouse. An adorable creature, by the way. Great pet. After I stopped her from getting out of her cage. That was fun, trying to catch a little mouse. But anyway, there's one funny part. She doesn't have any cash. So she tries to sign a check over that's been signed over multiple times and everything. And the guy says, well, I run a cash-only business, so I'll make it clear. You give me the cash and I'll slip you the wiener. Well, I don't have any cash and I don't have any wiener. With writing like that, how could you not fucking love this movie? And so after Chris is revived, it turns out Brad is fine. Daryl says, Brad, don't you ever die on me again. Okay, I won't. And then this guy, it turns out this John Pruitt guy is actually back, the guy with the hook for the hand, but he beat up the guy that was cheating, that was sleeping with his wife, and now he's a fugitive somehow. And he says, well, the windshield was fixed because a gunshot went through there, but it's $50 for the tire. The windshield would have cost more, but whatever, let's just ignore that plot point. Again, don't take it so seriously. He escapes. Good luck, babysitter. I mean, why the fuck not? So, they're at a party. There's this playboy, shown, oh, I'm not Shailene. No, you're right, you're not. You're much prettier than her. This guy, Dan Lynch, who seems a bit too giving. He seems to understand that, Chris is a pretty good woman, but even though there's a bit of an age difference, I think he's a junior in college, she's a high school senior, even though I think at this point Elizabeth Shue was 23. Let's just ignore that, because then we have to go back into slasher movies and talk about the fact that these people are always, a certain age, or playing a certain age, even though they're clearly over that. It is Hollywood, after all. He only has $45 instead of $50. Well, then they get to the goddamn garage, and there's Vincent D'Onofrio, Mr. Dawson. I only have $45. Well, you need to get out of here then, because I need 50. I run a business and everything. And then Sarah gives him the Thor helmet. You're giving this to me? Here, take the keys, get out of here, or whatever. Go. Hey, kid, I got one of these at home. He really is Thor. Again, putting too much thought into this is just not going to work. But they manage to get away. And then they have to stop off at this restaurant because they see Mark's car there. It turns out Mark is actually dating another girl, completely blew off Elizabeth Shue, which, no offense against the other girl, you are blowing off Elizabeth Shue. You deserve to be single for the rest of your goddamn life. And Brad isn't going to punch her out, but Daryl kicks him across the table because Daryl doesn't fucking care. And then Sarah somehow is left alone and gets chased by by these goons, including Joe. And then there's Graydon, the great character actor. They managed to get up into this tall skyscraper where the parents are on the 42nd floor and having a great party. It's this great suite. And then 2 floors above, they're doing all this extra construction. And Sarah thought it would be a good idea to get out on the windows and crawl along the windowsills and stuff like that of this skyscraper that's leaning like this, and somehow she doesn't die. Graydon gets down there but gets stuck. Because of course he does, because plot convenience. And then there's this other criminal looking for them. Elizabeth Shue ties something around him. Could she tie me up like that? But then he trips. The parents are at the suite, but somehow don't see their kids or see Chris there. All this weird shit's happening. They rescue Sarah, and Joe helps them by punching out that criminal. And he has the Playboy, but it's a way maybe to turn it over to the cops, and then maybe he'll get off on good behavior. That Graydon guy's just left, by the way, where he's eventually going to get tired and fall. But whatever, he's a criminal, so let's just let him die. Ha! Have fun! And then he says, yeah, you're right, babysitting is dangerous. They get home in time, and everything's good. And then this guy Dan shows up because Sarah left her skate because she was rolling around on skates. And there you go. That's your adventure, or adventures in babysitting. And then the crystals and Any Kiss Me plays. And there you go. That's the way to wrap it up right there. Again, it does not take itself so fucking seriously. It's fun. This is the 25th anniversary, by the way. I did not get the 35th anniversary. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And Elizabeth Shue, magnifique. Boy, that really sounded goddamn weird. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.